Hey all, welcome back. I'm Kevin and I'm an Asian YouTuber. Now, being an Asian YouTuber is tough. English is technically not my first language. I speak with a weird accent. I'm lacking in vocabulary. Heck, I can't even pronounce words correctly. And I spend hours writing up scripts, practicing, so that I can speak in a way that makes sense, so that I can speak in a way where the flow is right. Now, YouTube is a great platform, but mostly for English speakers. And I'm not saying non-English speakers are not going to make it. I'm just saying that they're not going to make it as big as the others. When I start my YouTube channel, there's always this thought at the back of my head telling me that the reasons my YouTube channel is not going to grow as fast as other YouTube channel is because I speak with a really weird accent. Well, not really a reason, it's more like an excuse. And also, of course, the color of my skin may have contributed to that as well, even if just a little. But I'm leaning more towards the way I talk. But even with all those thoughts going in my head, I still continue to push through because I feel that there's just so much to share, from my experience to my knowledge, that I just can't help but think that if I don't share it with the world, then I might just end up regretting it when I get older. Now, when I say an Asian YouTuber, I literally mean an Asian born in an Asia country and not an Asian who is born in a Western country like in the US or Australia. There's a big difference here, especially when it comes to culture and lifestyle. Asians who are born in a Western country just do not understand what it is like to live in a developing country. Just saying. I've lived in Australia for half of my life, with the first half being in an Asian country. I practically grew up there, so my lifestyle and culture is more towards an Asian country rather than a Western one. I'm telling you this because by living in two countries that are the complete opposite, I soon came to realize that sometimes there are things that we never know how to appreciate, and at the same time, we never truly know how lucky we are. Let me share with you my quick story about how living in an Asia country, then moving to Australia, taught me so many valuable lessons that ultimately led me to starting a YouTube channel, despite the fact that I know, given my background, it's going to be super tough. Now, you may already know this, but in Asian countries in general, there's always this hierarchy system where who you are is determined by your status. How much money you have says a lot about you. So if you are rich, then you need to be respected, even if you have zero wisdom. Which means if you're not born in a prestigious rich family, then you're never going to be heard. Well, come to think of it, that happens to everyone. Or say you work in a 9-to-5 job, you work in a corporate. The one thing that you should never ever do is say no to your managers or supervisors. And that is because of this hierarchy system. Anyone whose rank or position is above you, you need to listen to them even if it doesn't make sense. You should never talk back. The only time you're allowed to speak is if you have worked long enough, you gained a lot of experience, you yourself became a manager, and then that's when you can start to torture the new recruits. In contrast, here in Australia, it is the other way around. We are respected when we voice out our own opinions, and we're seen as not part of the team if we do not participate in any team discussions. Now, because of my Asian background, I'm more towards keeping quiet. I enjoy going to work, finish my work for the day, accomplish whatever I need to do, and then head on home. And this is why starting a YouTube channel is so damn difficult for me, because I don't see myself as an expert. I never did. So who am I to give advice to anyone? And this is something very common that happens in Asia. Every time you try to give advice to someone who is more senior than you, the first thing they would say is, who do you think you are? But I find that Asia countries are falling behind because of these reasons. People who are more senior than you, people who are more experienced than you, they just refuse to listen. They just do not open up to new ideas that comes from the younger generation. Younger generations are told to follow the same footsteps, leading to no innovations because, hey, making mistakes is embarrassing, making mistakes is stupid, right? So why do you want to do that to yourself? On top of that, citizens of Asian countries, they are constantly in survival mode. Having just a job in an Asian country is never going to be enough to pay for your bills and sustain your lifestyle. If you work at, say, McDonald's for 12 hours, half of your pay is going to go to your lunch and your dinner. In general, it is very hard to survive if you only have a 9-to-5 job. So I always have this thought that working a 9 to 5 job, having just one single job, it is never enough. I need to have control over something that provides me financially, because anything that can be taken away one day, just like a job. Whereas here in Australia, it can get very comfortable. My current job is a good job. I can afford to buy a house, I can buy a car, I can buy investment homes, I even have enough money to go on holidays, and at the end of every month, I actually have savings. So given my situation, why should I even start a YouTube channel, right? I should just focus on my job and continue to climb the corporate ladder. Again, this is where my survival instinct kicks in. I'm always afraid that no matter how hard I work, I can never get up there just because of my background. Everything I built can disappear in one night, which is why there's always this need for me to work hard and continuously find new sources of income, even if I know the road ahead is going to be full of obstacles. So this leads me to starting a YouTube channel for many reasons, but the main reason here is I needed to find a way to take care of myself and my family, even though I know that starting a YouTube channel with an Asian background is going to be super tough. As an Asian, it is almost impossible to get support from friends and family just because Asians tend to not do anything out of the norm. We're always taught to just study hard, make sure you score in your exams so that you can apply for a high-paying job like a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer or an accountant. But this is a flaw as an Asian. I always admire how Western countries are able to voice out their opinions so freely, having healthy discussions instead of trying to prove a point. I mean, of course, you still do encounter people like that, people who are always wanting to be right, but I just see that less in Australia compared to Asia countries. The other reason I started a YouTube channel is I wanted to prove a point that voicing out as an Asian is perfectly fine, even if it means impacting a small percentage of viewers. And trust me, it is a lot harder than it sounds. As an Asian, it is not common to be voicing out your thoughts and your opinions. You can easily be isolated by your friends and your family, at least until you reach a certain level of success. Because Asians are always taught to keep our mouth shut, that we should not offer our help to anyone but ourselves. We are taught to be conservative. After all, life is already difficult enough, so why are you wasting your time helping others when you should be helping yourself? But I learned so much after starting a YouTube channel. I learned that making mistakes is actually okay. That trying to hide yourself just because you're afraid of how others sees you, that is just wrong. And trust me, hearing me say that is actually very weird because I'm not someone who says a lot. I'm not someone who talks a lot. If you see me in a party, I'm never part of the conversation. I'm always the one at the back listening in, and then I have all these thoughts going on in my head, all these opinions, but I will never say it out. Which is why I thought really hard and long before starting a YouTube channel, because my nature as an Asian is telling me that I will embarrass myself, my friends will laugh at me, people will avoid me, and I will never be successful in this. But then I asked myself again, is it really that bad to have friends ignoring you, to have friends laughing at you, just because you want to achieve your own goal? The answer is pretty obvious, isn't it? But the one thing that I find the hardest to do as an Asian YouTuber is the content and presentation style of my videos. Creating a video like this is definitely not the Asian way, and if you are watching this video right now, then chances are you prefer genuine and authenticity, which I agree with you 100%. But in Asian countries, we're more accustomed to buying things and listening from people who talks like a salesman. You know, people who are actors, who reads off scripts and able to portray them emotionally and professionally. Videos like this one, if aimed towards Asians, it is not going to perform well because I'm not labeled as a professional, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's just how Asian thinks. They're just more used to seeing fake and pretty things in order to convince them. And this is why it is very hard for me and my YouTube channel because I'm very used to doing the salesy type video, but my target audience is not Asians because my Chinese isn't that good. And at the same time, as I said previously, Asians are not going to watch my videos because I do not look professional and they judge me based on my YouTube channel's subscriber count. So I kind of developed Asian style content, but my target audience is non-Asians. Can you see why this is so hard for me? But you may have realized that recently my presentation style and my video style has changed a lot. Instead of trying to be like an expert, I'm just trying to talk to you one-on-one. So who you are looking at right now is who I am. I'm not trying to put on a mask or anything. And that is something I learned and admire a lot in others, regardless of your background. That's being able to speak as yourself may offend people and takes a little bit more time to build up your community, but the result is building a really tight and strong community, which is by far the best thing you can get out of your YouTube channel. Now, of course, being an Asian has its pros as well, and there are a few Asian traits that I think should be incorporated in the Western culture. For one, I feel that Asians tend to do better in terms of discipline and persistence and having a never give up attitude, because we're constantly in a survival mode. What I see in Western countries mostly is they do not know how lucky they are to be provided with so many resources and opportunities to succeed. Because when things are given so easily, people tend to get complacent, people get comfortable, and they just expect others to spoon feed them for the rest of their life while they do nothing. And of course, I'm one of the lucky ones to have the hardworking attitudes and discipline of an Asian, and at the same time to be provided the tools and resources to succeed in my own way. And if you ask me again why I started a YouTube channel, I dare say that it is because I want to use the opportunity given to me, put it to good use, and educate the younger generation on what they are truly capable of. Hard work and discipline may not always come together with luck and opportunity, but if they do come your way, do me a favor and think about contributing your wisdom to others. Start a YouTube channel, spread your message no matter how ridiculous it might sound to you, because you never know who on the other side of the video is watching, and that person might just need that little inspiration from you in order to push on.